Guys, this is Jay from Tech Hack, and today I'm going to discuss the OSI model of the networking. So let's get started. OSI, that is Open System Interconnection. Now, OSI is a reference model that describes how information from a software application in one computer moves through a physical medium to the software application in another computer. This is how the model looks like. At the base, we can see the physical layer as the layer 1. Second is the data link layer. Third layer is the network layer. Fourth layer is the transport layer, which is also called the heart of the OSI model. The next three are the session layer, presentation, and at the top is the application layer. So let's move on to the very first layer, base layer, that is the physical layer. It is the lowest layer of the OSI model. It establishes and maintains and deactivates the physical connection. The main functionality of the physical layer is to transmit the individual bits from one node to another node. The main functions also include bit synchronization, bit rate control, physical topologies, and transmission mode. So let's move on to the layer 2, that is the data link layer. Now, the data link layer is responsible for node-to-node delivery of the message. The main function of this layer is to make sure that data transfer is error-free from one node to another over the physical layer. When a packet arrives in a network, it is responsibility of the DDL to transmit it to the host using IP MAC address. Now, the functions include framing, physical addressing, error control, flow control, and access control. Now, let's move on to the third layer of the OSI model. It is the network layer. The network layer works for the transmission of data from host to other located in different networks. It also takes care of packet routing, that is selection of the shortest path to transmit the packet from the number of routes available. The sender and receiver's IP addresses are placed in a header by network layer. The main functions of the network layer are routing and local addressing. So let's move to the fourth layer, that is the transport layer. The transport layer provides services to the application layer and takes services from network layer. The data in the transport layer is referred as segments. It is responsible for end-to-end delivery of complete message. The transport layer also provides the acknowledgement of successful data transmission and retransmission if an error is found. So let's move on to the fifth layer, which is the session layer. This layer determines the time that a system will wait for another application to respond. It is responsible for the establishment of connection, maintenance of sessions, authentication, and also ensures security. This layer allows to add checkpoints, which are considered synchronization points into the data. Now, the main functions of the session layer include session establishment, maintenance, termination, and dialog controller. Next, we move on to the sixth layer of the OSI model. This is the presentation layer. The data from the application layer is extracted here and manipulated as per the format to transmit over the network. This layer handles the encryption and decryption that the application layer requires. The main functions of the presentation layer includes translation, encryption, decryption, and compression. Let's move on to the last and the seventh layer of the OSI model, which is the application layer. This is the highest layer of the OSI reference model, as I said. This layer enables the user to interact with the application whenever reader wants to read messages, transfer files, or perform network-related tasks. The main functions of the application layer is file transfer access and management, mail services, network virtual terminal, and directory services. So these were the 7 layers of the OSI model. So now let's see the pros and cons of the OSI model. It is truly a generic model, and it is also considered as standard model in computer networking. It is flexible to adopt many protocols. It offers connectionless services. It is highly reliable. Next, there are some disadvantages also of using this model, which includes that no particular protocol is defined. Session and presentation layer are not very useful in rendering information. Duplication of service happens here, which we cannot control, and layers cannot work in parallel. I hope you understood the OSI model. Thank you.